Hello everyone! Thunderous Wolf here. Yup, you read the title of this video right. I went to my first furry convention. Going to a furry convention has been on my list of things to do sooner or later for quite a while now, and this past weekend, I finally got to check that box as I went to AnthrOhio. Now that the con is over and I'm back home, one, it's back to the grind. 2, okay, I'ma fight this post-con depression. Damn, PCD's got hands. And 3, I get to tell you all the tale of my first ever furry convention. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I tell my story of going to my first ever FurCon, AnthrOhio 2023, to the fur-flung regions of space. First things first though, some of you may be asking, why AnthrOhio? Why not a convention like Midwest Fur Fest, Furry Weekend Atlanta, or AnthroCon? Not only was AnthrOhio much easier both financially and logistically for me compared to how it would have been for another con, but it was also an ideal convention for me since it was smaller in scale. What I mean by smaller in scale is that for Midwest Fur Fest, that convention had over 13,000 attendees in 2022, compared to AnthrOhio's 1,255 attendees this year. That's what I mean by a smaller scale con. Like with many things in life, the larger something gets, the more experience you're gonna need to be able to handle it well. Before pre-registration for AnthrOhio even opened up, I was thinking about how a larger scale con should actually be my first, given that it would be a big con that everybody would know about. Looking back on it though, I'm really glad I didn't do that. I already felt a tad bit overwhelmed initially when stepping into the hotel at AnthrOhio. I can't imagine how I would have felt stepping into the convention space for any of these cons. Enough about these cons though. I'm here to talk about AnthrOhio. Let's dive into the fireworks with the first step on my journey, registration. Registering for AnthrOhio wasn't anything special in the literal sense. I filled out all of the info, paid $75 for the sponsor tier for the whole weekend, and was good to go. What was special about registration was the feeling of it. I'm sure that while I will feel excitement when registering for the next furry convention that I go to in the future, I don't think I'll ever get that first time excitement feeling again, if that makes any sense. That feeling of, oh my god, I've just registered for my first furry convention. It may sound like a strange thing to talk about, but that feeling of knowing that this is the year that I'll be going to a furry convention when I saw that confirmation email saying that I was registered and all good to go was incredible. Next up came the painful part. Waiting. I registered for the con back in December of 2022, and AnthrOhio wouldn't be taking place until May 2023. The only noteworthy thing to happen between December 22 and May 23 was when I got a badge commission of my fursona from Blizzard Wolf in February. I knew I would want a commissioned badge to go along with the regular registration badge that I would get on my first day, and I still love it. It felt really cool to be wearing that badge while walking around the con, I have to say. I currently have it hung up on the whiteboard I've got next to my desk in my room, and I absolutely plan on taking this badge to future conventions as well. I would strongly recommend Blizzard Wolf if you're looking for a con badge. She is awesome. Soon enough though, May had arrived. As more information was published about the con, I updated my plans accordingly. What food trucks were going to be there, or theoretically anyway. Looking at you, fancy feeding you, more like fancy abandoning you. Who would be at the Artist Alley and Dealer's Den, and the biggest one for me personally, the panels. Once I saw the tweet about how the schedule was finally posted, I booked it to the AnthrOhio website. I opened up Google Sheets and made myself a spreadsheet of all the panels that I wanted to go to. The name of the panel, the room the panel would be in, and the time. I planned ahead if you can't tell already. Once my schedule was complete, there was only one thing left for me to do. Inform my parents that I would be busy for that weekend. My mom and my stepdad have known that I'm a furry for a good while now, so when I told them that I would be busy with the con for that weekend, they were excited and happy for me. The person I was worried about though was my dad. I make sure to regularly see my dad as well, and since I would be busy with the con, I would need to let him know about it. So that week before the con, I let my dad know. I wasn't sure how he was going to react since I haven't been as open about being a furry to him as I have been with my mom and stepdad. Was he going to be weirded out, think it was cool, just kind of go, okay. I wasn't sure. When I did tell him, I was pleasantly surprised when I heard, "You're going to a furry convention?" in an excited tone in his voice as a response. He thought it was super cool. We chatted about the convention and about furries as a whole for a little bit before the conversation ended with him saying that he was excited for me. For the record, I would have gone to the convention even if my dad reacted negatively to the news, but to have that extra source of support is such an awesome feeling. After that, everything was set in place. Everything was planned out, and the only thing left for me to do was wait until it was time to make the drive over to Crowne Plaza. As I was pulling into the parking lot, I remember seeing someone's fursuit, a deer fursona if my memory serves me right. Once I saw them, that's when it really hit me that I was here. I pulled into the parking lot, masked up,
Alpha Squad, we're moving forward. Protect your hazmat suits.
got my commissioned badge on, and walked in. I quickly got into the registration line, was given the all clear after showing my COVID vaccination card, got my official badge, and was then left to free roam for a little while until the first panel that I would be attending. Side note, about my official badge, look at this. I got badge number 68. I was one number away from getting badge number 69. Gah!
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
The little bit of time I had before the "So This Is Your First Furry Convention" panel, I walked around taking in the sights and the sounds. Seeing so many like-minded people together in one space where I could be way more open about being a furry than if I was anywhere else was equal parts amazing, but also a little overwhelming. Overwhelming just because I've never been able to be this carefree in person before. Yeah, online I can be carefree about being a furry, but there's that unique aspect of being carefree in person that I had never experienced before. Like I said earlier, I did feel a little overwhelmed at first with there being so many people to potentially interact with and talk to. That, plus me being an introvert, it did take me a little while to come out of my shell. Days 2 and 3 is when I would say I felt a lot more confident when it came to talking with people, but more on those days later. The one thing that really stood out to me though was the fursuits. I'm no stranger to fursuits. I've seen plenty of fursuit walk videos, I've watched furries like Majira Strawberry and Fluke Husky on YouTube, and through those videos, I knew fursuits were special. But seeing them in person really emphasized just how unique and cool they are. All the cool designs like the fur colors and patterns, smaller details like glasses for fursuit heads, props like toy swords to go with a fursuiter's outfit, even how a fursuiter walks if they have a specific walk that they do. It all combines to create the real-life version of that person's fursona. Seeing all of those fursuits made me want to commission one of my own ASAP. But alas, I am indeed a college student, so fursuits are a little outside of my budget for the time being. One day though. One day. I made a good choice going to the "So This Is Your First FurCon" panel before the opening ceremonies because I picked up some really good tips there. I had known about the 6-2-1 rule, 6 hours of sleep, 2 meals a day, 1 shower a day, and general convention etiquette. But I hadn't asked a fursuiter for a picture before, so knowing how to ask if I could take a picture was important. The biggest tip I took away from this panel though was how to prevent impulse buying. Status Ferret mentioned how it was a good idea to see something you might want to get, but then go do something else to let that thought fully process. And that went into effect for me a number of times. It's because of that piece of advice that I managed to stay below my $300 maximum I set for myself when budgeting for the con. I spent around $280 combining food, Artist Alley, and Dealer's Den stuff. After the "So This Is Your First FurCon" and opening ceremonies panels, my next stop was the Character Designs 101 panel, where the panelists didn't show up. So we just chatted with each other for that hour, talking about our fursonas, what our furry awakenings were, things like that. After that, I got myself some lunch, which shout out to Pete Abilities, that was some good stuff. Next up was Squish Cat's Guide to Socializing, which as an introvert, I'm glad I went, as I learned some neat things there, in particular with posture. Like how I shouldn't have my hands to the side of my hips or my arms crossed when chatting with someone new due to the negative body language that may be perceived, for example. Since the next panel wouldn't be until 5 after that, that being the Convention War Stories panel, I decided to visit the game room next. Let me tell you, the game room was magical. For anyone new to the channel, first of all, welcome. I hope you're enjoying your time here. Secondly, I love video games. I always have been a gamer and most likely will always be a gamer. So seeing all of these consoles and games in this room was awesome. That day, I got to play some Black Ops 2 Zombies on the PlayStation 3 they had with one of the more wild third-party PS3 controllers I've ever seen.
Jesus Christ!
Since I still had some time before the next panel after that, this was when I checked out the Artist Alley in Dealer's Den. From the Dealer's Den, I got this video game themed desk mat that I currently have under my laptop. From the Artist Alley, I got a commission from Commander Booty Call. Convention War Stories was really fun to listen to. Hearing about all the chaos caused at some of the other furry conventions provided some really good laughs. Boozy Badger in particular is a really good storyteller, I have to say. To round off day 1, the last panel that I went to was Furry Feud. It's like Family Feud, but Furry Edition. That panel was some really good fun. In particular, I remember one of the questions being which animal would most likely be roadkill, and one of the responses was humans. I mean, fair enough, I guess. Fair play. Another question that I remember, this one being a much more lighthearted one, was which character from Zootopia do you identify the most with? And, of course, Nick Wilde was number 1. That panel was some really good fun, and a perfect way to end my first night at the con. I was originally going to stick around for the 18+ Jackbox Games panel at 10 p.m., but by the end of the Furry Feud panel at 8 p.m., I was getting hungry. Pete Abilities had closed at 8, and the idea of waiting over 3 more hours for dinner sounded rough. As a result, I concluded day 1 after that. Day 1 of the con was super fun, but also a little overwhelming. I did manage to grab a number of general convention pictures along with some pictures with fursuiters as well, but I didn't do as much socializing as I would have liked. I still had a really fun first day at the con though, and I would fully come out of my shell during the next 2 days. Day 2 of the con was easily the best day. It was the busiest day for me, but also the most fun day as a result. I went to the Shooting Your Shot panel about firearm safety first, then followed that up with the Worse Than E.T. panel about bad video games. Watching some of these old video games in action was equal parts funny given how bad they were, but also really cool because of the preservation aspect of it. The games at this panel were all from the 1980s and 1990s, and they were all run through RetroArch. Yeah, the games were old and bad, but being able to preserve them in any way is still really important in my eyes. Scribbles and Bits was next, where we all took turns writing up sentences for a story, voting on the best one, and repeating that process until we made a masterpiece of a short story. Want to hear it? I thought so. It was a dark and stormy night. A guy named Jason falls in a ditch. Except it wasn't a ditch, and he just kept falling. As he fell, a ringing phone fell with him. He picked it up. "Hello, sir. I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty," a strange, deep voice says from the other end. He wakes up at AnthrOhio. At first glance, everything seemed normal. Upon closer inspection, though, something was off. Wait. If AnthrOhio is real, is Ohio real too? Jason yelled. He sank to his knees and wept as he was surrounded by insurance scammers in fursuit. Everyone chanted, "Extended warranty, extended warranty, extended warranty." Moral of the story? Don't fall into a ditch. Truly, one of the stories of all time. Content conversing was next. We talked about general tips for content creation for the first half hour, but then upon hearing the second half hour would be filled with making TikToks, I booked it out of there. Okay. In all seriousness, the panelists gave us the okay if we didn't want to partake in the TikToks. I didn't just book it for no reason. Since I was done with content conversing a little earlier than I thought, this was the perfect time to stop by the Artist Alley in Dealer's Den. I didn't commission anyone from the Artist Alley this time around, but I did get this cool mug of all the different evolutions of Eevee from Doa Ceramics. Just outside of the doorway that led to the entrance/exit of the Dealer's Den, there was a table that was taking room escape signups, but that table also doubled as a spot to get a light up LED name tag. So I got myself one. Lightning bolts on either side as the name of my fursona travels across the screen. Monkey Knife Fights was next, which I want to quickly read the event description for you. It read, quote, "I have no idea what is going to happen at this charity event, but it is for a good cause. Show up, throw some money into the hat for charity, and enjoy the show. And for those of you that asked for this on Twitter, I hope you're happy." Needless to say, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew I was in for a treat. It was essentially an 18+ story time panel. Boozy Badger told the tale of when he, his significant other, and some friends met a guy named Anton at a bar during a vacation. Anton was scrolling through Grindr as they talked. Anton eventually left, forgot his phone at the bar. Boozy went into the street and screamed Anton's name at the top of his lungs a few times. He then finally added in the detail that Anton forgot his phone. So, Boozy Badger went from Anton to Anton, you forgot your phone! Anton popped out of an alleyway, said thanks, took his phone, and left. Oh, and the whole bar heard and saw Boozy screaming at the top of his lungs in the middle of the street. Douglas Muth, I really hope I'm pronouncing that last name right, told the tale of how when he used to work at a porn shop, he made his way to work one day only to find that it was being raided by authorities. What did Douglas do in his infinite wisdom? Did he take the hint that today is a free day off of work? No. He walked up to the 2 police officers guarding the front entrance, said, "Hey, I work here, can I come in?" They let him in, and surprise, surprise, he was immediately questioned by the federal authorities inside. He was eventually let go and given the all clear, but the main takeaway from that story is that if you see your workplace being raided by federal authorities, that is a sign that you just got a free day off of work. The third story that I remember clear as day was when Status Ferret told the story about how their brother had been running an adult toy business in the basement of where the 2 of them lived without anyone knowing. Status Ferret and their brother still live with their parents, and their brother had been making these adult toys with a 3D printer down there for a year, and nobody had known. The only reason why Status Ferret knows about this is because their brother showed his latest creation a little while before AnthrOhio. I don't know if the parents know. As far as I know, they don't yet. I hope for the brother's sake it stays that way for as long as possible, because good lord, I cannot imagine the awkwardness of that conversation when they do eventually find out at some point in the future. So yeah, Monkey Knife Fights was a very entertaining panel to attend if you couldn't tell already. After that, I got myself some dinner from Redhead Chef, and that was really good as well. Food Service Nightmares was where everyone attending shared their horror stories of working in the food industry. Thankfully, the panel was very flexible, which allowed horror stories in other sectors of the workforce to be told as well. This allowed me to tell my story of a bizarre customer interaction that went down at the grocery store that I work at. I take it that you all would like to hear about this story too? Alright. Here we go. In the store that I work at, there's a small liquor shop. Occasionally, I'll be asked to cover for someone's break, or if worst comes to worst, I'll be working there for my whole shift in case someone calls off or something. I really don't like working in the liquor shop because it's a higher stress environment because of the thefts that happen there on a semi-regular basis. Plus, I am completely useless when it comes to anything alcohol related. Whenever a customer asks for something behind the counter and behind me, I have to have them guide me as to what drink they're looking after on the shelf there. I know jack dip diddly shit about alcohol, but I can't exactly say no to my supervisor when he directs me to go there. So one day, I get asked to cover for someone's break, which by now, I'm able to handle covering breaks in the liquor shop all right. I walk in, swap places with my coworker, they're off on their break. A gentleman comes in, grabs something from the shelf, thankfully not anything behind me, I will give credit where it's due, and he walks up to me. I scan the bottle and ask to see his ID since he appears to be under the age of 40. He lets out a sigh, slightly rolls his eyes, opens up his wallet, flips to the ID sleeve, if that's even the proper name for that, and presses it against the protective covering that's in front of me, left over from when COVID was still going strong. Nowadays, it's just a core part of not just the liquor store counter, but all of the cashier counters and such as well. I politely ask for him to pull out his ID so that I can see it more clearly, and to scan the back of it with my hand scanner. He pulls his ID out and immediately flips it to the back for me to scan it. I gently grab it and begin to pull it my way so that I can flip it over and look at the front, and the guy doesn't let go. I tug again, but he's still not letting go. He goes, "Scan it," in the sort of, "I'm doing what you asked, now do it" kind of tone. I again tell him that I need to see the front as well. At this point, I'm thinking, oh, this ID is either fabricated or not yours. So he sighs again, does an even larger roll of the eyes, flips it over to the front, and does a half slam against the protective screening. I look at it, and it was his ID. Everything checked out. I scan the back, he pays, I bag it up and hand it over to him, and he leaves. One of the few customers that have not gotten the "have a good one" saying from me at the end of their transaction. People will throw a fit over the stupidest things. After that panel was done, I went around chatting with some more people. Took some more pictures as well. By this point, I had fully punched out of my introverted shell. Now that I was more familiar with my environment, I was able to relax and ease into it some more. I have to say again, being able to take pictures with fursuiters was incredible. Seeing that creativity on display was awesome. I got to see even more creativity with the fursuits at 8 p.m. that night when I joined the crowd who went to watch the fursuit dance competition. Audio is muted here because I don't want to get a copyright claim on this video, but this is easily the best panel out of the ones I went to. This event right here was my absolute favorite part of the con over the entire weekend. The music, the dance moves, seeing everyone give it their all on stage, the outfits as well. My personal favorite outfit being Seth Gladiator's gladiator outfit. Seeing that dance competition made me want to start practicing right then and there. I cannot dance to save my life, but after seeing that dance competition, I wanted to get a fursuit of my own, which, again, it's probably gonna be a little while before that happens, and begin practicing. Like, I'm legitimately considering applying to have a chance at an AnthrOhio dance comp in the future. Whether I would even make it past the preliminaries is a whole different matter though. In any case though, I really loved the dance competition. Once the dance competition ended around 9:30 p.m. or so, I did some more socializing before calling it a night there. Once again, not just the best panel of the day, but the best panel and just the best night of the convention as a whole. Day 3 was a lot more relaxed in comparison. I originally planned to participate in the Mario Kart 8 tournament that would be going on in the game room starting at 11:30 that morning, but by then they weren't taking any more signups, unfortunately. Turns out I needed to ask either on Friday or Saturday about the tournament and get myself signed up then and there. Ah well, there's always next year, no big deal. So I left and decided to have one last look at the Dealer's Den and Artist's Alley. From the Artist's Alley, I got myself a commission from Candy Bear. From the dealer's den, I got myself some enamel pins. I got a GameCube controller pin and a Nintendo 64 controller pin, and I also got a pin of Raymond from Animal Crossing. After that, I walked around, did some more talking, took some more pictures, had some ice cream at the ice cream social, did some more chatting, went back into the game room and played some Burnout 3 Takedown on the PlayStation 2 they had, then went to the regular Jackbox Games panel. I was an audience member for TKO, and I played the first round of Quiplash 2. I placed 7th. Hey, in my defense, one of the prompts that I got was the best part about having lots of back hair. Like, what was I supposed to answer for that one? I also did not place last, which makes that game a good game in my book. I was an audience member for the second Quiplash 2 game, then the panel was done after that. I got myself dinner from Ninja Bowl, which, holy shit, Ninja Bowl was so good. I got the chicken bowl. Oh my god, it was so good. Easily the best meal that I had while at the con. I really hope Ninja Bowl comes back again next year because I have to say it again, that was so damn good. After dinner came the most difficult panel. Not because it was bad or anything like that, but because it signaled the end of the con. The closing ceremonies. With a final attendance of 1,255 attendees, a grand total of $8,258.75 as of May 28th to the charity of choice for AnthrOhio this year, that being Ohio Nature Education, and with it being roughly 6:30 p.m. when the panel was done, AnthrOhio 2023 to the fur-flung regions of space came to a close. While yes, there was still one last overnight rave party that people could stick around for if they so chose to do so. For me at least, I called it a night, and called it a convention after the closing ceremonies were done. I remember pacing back and forth a few times, getting my last hellos and goodbyes out there to everyone, and getting one final look at the convention before I made my way to my car. I made it to my car, I got inside, and I did that thing where you stay in your car for a few minutes because you really don't want to leave. I remember setting my book bag that I took for all 3 days of the con onto the passenger seat next to me, then I put my hands on my lap, looked down, then back to the building. Damn, it's really over. I know this is a bittersweet ending to my AnthrOhio 2023 journey, but at least that's a sign that I had a lot of fun. The fact that I didn't want AnthrOhio to be over so soon was a sign that I really enjoyed the convention. But alas, all good things must come to an end sooner or later. And now I'm getting to experience post-con depression for the first time in my life. Whoopee. At least I somehow managed to avoid catching con crud. That is a legitimate win right there. And that concludes my AnthrOhio 2023 journey. I know that this video is different from the usual video game review and essay content that I post, but I had such a fun time at AnthrOhio that I had to make a video talking about my experiences. I still have another year ahead of me, but I'm already looking forward to AnthrOhio 2024 per normal. Until that day comes, it's back to my normal life. Oh god. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, a big shout out to you for watching the whole thing. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If the idea of watching videos talking about all things video games sound neat to you, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure to hit that bell icon to receive all notifications for future uploads. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace out.